Welcome back for another helping of oysters, clams, and cockles. I'm Ross Bolen, here as always with my buddy Mr. Barrett Dudley to bring you the best TV shows and movies weekly in an easily digestible podcast packed with laughs. Barrett, one step forward, two steps back, as they say. You're in the studio. I am at home being a responsible member of society with a cough, although I'm 99.9% sure I am fine.
That's right. And it's we've tried both at home, both in the studio now. Now we've got one in stew, one out of stew. We're just doing our due diligence to make sure that we can make this happen in any manner, in any such way. It's an interesting atmosphere because I've got all these these highfalutin fancy cameras in front of me here. I've got a monitor over here with you on it. Nobody else is in the room with me because producer Mike is outside in the other room. He might as well be in Houston at NASA. Right now, I'm feeling very much like I'm on the International Space Station. I'm losing gravity here as I spin in my chair, and I feel like I'm in space and I'm just talking to you on another planet or another, just in another realm. It could
another dimension. Yeah, I got you.
And also I can see myself in this camera right in front of me, which you can see if you're watching on YouTube right now. And it's also kind of the vibe of like me hosting one of these shows where I then, I put something on the screen right here because you're right there. Look, if you put your hand up, we can almost touch hands, and it's kind of cool. So we're doing all of we're manipulating technology. We're bending it to our will. And that's,
touch my hand.
Well, boy, that's exciting.
Touch it though. There. Yeah, that's good stuff. No, that's great news, Spaceman.
That was like the interstellar handshake right there.
It was.
I felt your presence.
Listen, during Space Month, it couldn't be more appropriate. And on today's show, we're going to be talking about Space Force Season 1 for the final time. We're going to do a little Dave update. We're going to get into a little Last Airbender, which I know is huge news for a lot of you, especially our younger listeners. And then, of course, by the way, the spoiler-free, Space Force will be spoiler-free discussion and Season 1 review to kind of give my thoughts on whether or not people should watch the show. Because, Barrett, that's not one you watched, right?
Space Force, I have not watched yet. No, sir.
Correct. We're also going to do Angelina Jolie's top 5. We got some tidbits and such with Barrett. It's going to be a great show. This episode of OCC is brought to you by Felix Gray glasses. I have my face in a screen from morning to night, as Barrett just mentioned. Between the two of us, literally right now, I think he has 6 or 7 screens pointed at him in that room, and I have 3 directly in front of me. And it's all day, every day for me, baby. I'm on the cell phone nonstop. It's just, with our jobs in 2020 and with people working with social distancing and safely from home and such, it's never been more important that we take care of our eyes, because too much screen time can result in tired, dry eyes, headaches, blurry vision, trouble sleeping, all symptoms that I have experienced in my time as a contact lens wearer since I was a young lad, but not since I've been wearing my Felix Gray blue light glasses. Felix Gray launched in 2016 with the singular focus of offering the most effective computer glasses on the market with all the quality of brand name designer frames. They quickly became the internet's favorite blue light glasses, filtering out 90% of high energy blue light, eliminating 99% of the harsh glare coming from screens, which is just another incredible feature and not a side effect, but another effect of wearing Felix Gray glasses. You don't have nearly as much glare coming off of the screens as you do when you don't have them on. And I can say that as somebody who wears contacts normally during the day and then games at night with Felix Grays on. I've got mine on right now because I just happen to be out of contact lenses that I would normally be wearing during the day. Love them. I've got the clear Faraday frames on. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see them right there on my face. I often have them on when I'm playing on twitch.tv/bossrollin at night. They're available in prescription, non-prescription. They have readers. They've got you covered with optical glasses for work and sleep glasses in the evening that are clinically proven to increase melatonin secretion when we're leading up to bedtime. Why would you buy glasses from a company whose sole focus isn't making glasses? I trust Felix Gray because they make the best blue light glasses in the game. Go to felixgrayglasses.com/OCC and get a pair of blue light glasses from the pros today. Shipping and returns are totally free. That's FELIXGRAY glasses.com/OCC. FelixGrayGlasses.com/OCC. Barrett, quickly.
Let me get my cheaters out.
All the cheaters.
With all
Dave.
those, be careful with all those screens of the 5G network, Russ.
Yeah, you got, dude, the
Gotta watch out for
5G.
5G.
5G's out there, bro, and it's coming for all of us.
It really is. It's
You can't escape.
Racism is the real pandemic. The COVID-19 pandemic is the silent enemy, and 5G is the even more silent enemy.
It's the twice as silent enemy.
It's twice as silent enemy.
We planned on discussing Dave season 1 in full this week, and we are not going to do that because I did not finish season 1, and I quickly wanted to explain why. Dave, like several of the things I'm watching right now, is very funny, and it is a much more light and humorous watch than you and I have become accustomed to on this show. We found ourselves in this pocket recently where we've got a lot of humor and levity, and it's much needed, and obviously that's a reflection of what we have going on in society. But with Dave, I had just for no particular reason, I'd slotted it in as like my dinner show. So I get a couple episodes in when I'm eating dinner, right? And what I found is I would basically either be ordering food or cooking food. And by cooking food, I mean putting something in the fucking oven. And I would start watching Dave, and I'd be laughing my ass off, and it's hilarious. And then I would start eating, and I would go, oh, I can't watch this right now. Because Dave is gross.
There are quite a few moments in Dave that they really get into some interesting territory. But I will also say, I still do think that it's telling. Dave does fall into the realm of Atlanta, where this show has brought me to tears, both from laughing and from crying. And I think that you did. Did you get through episode 5?
Yes.
So you saw Hype Man, which is that's not that funny. It's pretty fucking deep.
Yeah. No, dude, don't get me wrong. This show goes into very important, deep shit.
So I would say it is telling, though, as to just where your mindset is exactly, that you blew through Space Force in about a week, and started watching Dave like 6 weeks ago and have gotten through 5 episodes. Well, like, that should tell you how not light Dave is compared to how light Space Force is.
Fair. And we'll get to Space Force, but the 2 I watched of Dave were the first 2 episodes that I watched 6 weeks ago, or whenever I first brought it up. Those are mostly very light. They have funny ass moments. I think it's 3, or no, it is episode 2 or 3. I can't remember. Where he ends up performing at the child's funeral, which is fucking hilarious. But it's a dark moment, and then Macklemore shows up, and it's the funniest thing of all time. But no, the show wasn't okay. Well, the show wasn't that deep yet.
Wait, so the last time we talked, had you not?
I had only seen a couple.
I thought you'd seen the rubber sex doll.
I don't think I had, dude, because that was one. I was mistaken.
I made jokes about that because
I don't think I knew what the fuck you were talking about.
So you just recently watched Hyposadius, which I'm sure is the one you're talking about, that dives into his actual
his penis
defect, his downstairs up, as old Greg would say. And also features, I don't know where they got that thing, but good Lord, it is the nastiest. It's the nastiest thing one of the nastiest things I've ever seen. It's also hysterical, but it is so weird.
When it falls out of the shower, when his girlfriend's in there peeing, I laughed. I laughed so hard that I was in basically tears.
Does that episode also end with milking?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean that is a weird episode,
bro. This is the one that took me 3 weeks to get through.
Yeah.
Because I kept trying to watch it when I was eating, but it's also the one that solidified this as much must-watch television for me. This is one of the funniest things I've ever seen. Bro, I was dying when his fucking. What is his roommate? Who is it? His ginger friend that they talk so strangely to each other.
It's not explained very well. I'm still not totally certain, and I've finished the season, but it's his best friend from something.
And he pulls up, and the garage door opens.
I think maybe from college. I think that they went to college together
I think that's right.
because Els is like his childhood friend, is a childhood
Right.
friend of his.
Right.
And I think what's his face? Is it Matt? Mike is his college friend, I believe. But it's never explained very well. Or if it was,
It doesn't really matter. They're
really
best besties, best friends, right?
Yeah.
And the garage door starts opening when they're both fully nude and Lil Dicky's underneath the table preparing to eat her ass through the milking hole. And listen, this show was basically made for me. I smoke weed and I love rap music and I love Lil Dicky and but I did not realize it was going to be so funny and clever and that it was going to get deep and dive into shit that actually does matter, not just silly ass shit about his penis.
And now that you're through 5, which deals with mental health, you're going to get to the next 5 episodes, which I believe that you'll be able to binge a lot more easily. But they're also basically each going to cover a relatively serious topic in some form or fashion.
Okay.
And you'll get to, that's where it's what I consider Hype Man on is kind of like the meat of the season.
Sure. And that's often the way it works with these more, I guess, deep and clever comedy shows.
Mm-hmm.
They build the first few episodes to give you the characters and the humor, and they really get the tone right. And then they delve into the actual subject matter that they want to attack each episode, which is more actual subject matter and less just poopy and boner jokes. And I could feel the momentum shifting like through episode 2, 3, 4. But then 5 is, obviously the one where really you're like, oh my, they're going to talk about very serious shit. And then I believe we get even more into racial stuff in the back half of the season as well, which is obviously incredibly prevalent right now. So I'm going to take the time to properly finish out Dave this week. And because they're 20-minute episodes, they're easy. And because I got through the penis stuff, I should be good. And we'll talk about it in full next week, because I really do think this show, Dave, for those of you who haven't watched it, watch it between now and next week, or at least get some under your belt so you can be a part of the discussion, because it is very much worth watching. And it is kind of a for everybody who can handle it show. And what I mean by that is there are a lot of really dirty ass jokes and a lot of really uncomfortable situations.
Yes.
Which I think will eliminate a lot of older audience members.
Maybe. Yeah.
But for those of us who can handle the
so,
if you want to call it immaturity, this is it. You got to watch this. This is good for everybody right now to hear and see, and it has levity and it has some gravity to it that's important as well.
Yeah.
To move on from there, speaking of gravity, I finished Space Force season 1.
Okay.
And my general review, and I want to pitch you on it, basically, is how I want this segment to be. I told you the first episode was one of the silliest things I've ever seen.
Yes.
And then I was like, oh my God, what has Steve Carell done? Like, blah, blah, blah. I told you I got through the next one and I couldn't stop laughing. And by episode 3, I was like, okay, I sort of get it. Well, when you get by episode 7, 8, 9, 10, they have almost achieved and I say almost because I'm hesitant to give them full credit here, but the same kind of thing that they had going with Parks and Rec, the same kind of thing that they had going with The Office, where what you've got is a great core couple main characters, really, John Malkovich and Steve Carell, and then you've got an incredible surrounding cast of characters that they use in the same way they do on those other shows.
Yep.
Where you get invested in all these side stories and you get to know his daughter and a bunch of the other astronauts, and it's like there's very much more to this show than initially meets the eye. That being said, what separates it from being as good as things like Parks and Rec or The Office is that they couldn't really go there in terms of, you saw some people saying, it seemed like episode 1 was going to be political and make fun of Trump. Well, they never get back to that, really. It's always sort of in the background.
Right.
But like, this show doesn't say anything politically.
Yeah, use that as a launching pad, pun intended, and then really kind of becomes, from what I understand, more of a workplace comedy.
Yes. It's more generic. It's not trying to be hot button issue pressing, fucking over the top clever. And I'm not saying Parks and Rec ever did that or like The Office did that, but those shows said things on a deeper level than Space Force does.
Sure. Okay. Sure.
So like The Office would end with you having some, an episode and some of them would end and just be silly as hell. But oftentimes they would end with a large takeaway about people working together, relationships, life in general.
Right.
That had a level of depth to it that Space Force doesn't even try to go touch that. It gives you the most base level version of that. Basically, like, the episode will end and the message is like, you should always do right instead of wrong. And you're like, okay, tight.
Yeah.
I feel good about this message. It's like, you should be a good dad.
Yeah. And I'm certainly going to give Space Force a shot here as soon as I wrap up with a couple other shows. I'm spending a lot of time on Netflix right now between an Office rewatch and I'm on the most recent season of Great British Bake Off, so I will have no more Bake Off to watch very, very shortly.
Oh, that's sad. Very sad.
I have one more episode of Outer Banks to go. And
wow.
So, I'm spending time on Netflix. It will be easy to jump into to this short 30-minute, 10-episode Space Force and be through it very quickly. I'm quite positive. One thing that I will say that it could have going forward, in its corner here, is it's important not to forget that on both of the shows that you mentioned in reference to Space Force, Parks and Rec and The Office, the main characters, if you go Leslie Knope and Michael Scott, if you go back and watch season 1 of those shows, they are completely removed from the rest of the seasons of those shows. Like on each of those shows, they really had to, they put down like what they thought it was going to be in season 1. And then they messed with all the dials fitting those main characters to make them to fit them into the show that they decided. They saw what they had created and they said, oh, you know what? We actually need to make Leslie Knope a little bit less of an obnoxious, pest. She needs to actually be caring and good and want to work hard, not because she's an idiot, but because she likes public service. And
yes.
With Michael Scott, they saw what they had put down and they said, okay, you know what? This show doesn't have legs if everybody just absolutely hates Michael Scott. If he's too over the top cringeworthy with how many boundaries he crosses and
he
then
needs redeeming qualities.
Remorseful for. So we need to make him a little bit likable and an adult, but kind of like, well-intentioned, right? Instead of just being a complete Ricky Gervais style asshole.
Yes.
So, Space Force will have the opportunity to come in after this first season and play with the dials a little bit if it wants to like learn some things from season 1 and
go some other places
and shift the show a little bit so that it can go into to different places. Yeah, absolutely.
Which, I'm glad you mentioned that because it does feel like that is very much the possibility here. Look, like we said, it came out at a really weird time. And there are even a couple of jokes on the show where as a result of the now climate, they don't hit the way they would have before. Or they hit a little different and you notice. And it's like, it's just so the first, well, I can't say what happened. Never mind. That'd be a spoiler. Doesn't matter. But I could see that being very much the case. My favorite example is always Tony Soprano. If you go watch episode 1, season 1 or whatever, he talks completely differently than he even does in episode 2. And by the end of season 3, he has the voice completely established and it never changes again.
Yeah.
Except for with age, sort of. But they can tweak these characters and tweak the show. And as you put it with Parks and Rec, they did a better job. And with Michael Scott too, it made it so you could put more empathy into the characters.
Yes, absolutely.
And so that you could build more emotional depth with them and the relationships that they have with each other. And that they have legs with here too.
Yeah. And I'm not sure that Netflix does that as much because of the release model, because they're doing so much stuff at one time, because every episode comes out at once. They're not getting that weekly feedback basically from a watching audience. It's kind of like people, they churn through it, they blast through it in a couple weeks or fewer or less sometimes. And then they move on to the next show. So there's less of that feedback loop than there is on a network show, but they could still They absolutely could if they wanted to make some sort of change.
And so to close out my, I guess, review of the season, for a show that starts off seemingly completely idiotic, it definitely maintains that feel, and you end up appreciating it. It is very funny. There are very stupid moments that are just like anybody could laugh at this dumb shit, physical comedy crap, and then there are deeper, well-written, funny jokes delivered by very good acting. I mean, obviously, great cast here.
Right.
And again, my argument for myself was you have to give Steve Carell a chance.
Oh yeah,
you're doing an Office rewatch right now, right? Like this is a guy on the same level as like some of my other idols, where if he puts something out, I will at least give it a chance because he is so damn good. And in the end, this one again, in honestly, with all odds against him, I end up really liking this show, and it doesn't even really say much, which played right now.
Yeah, exactly.
It played right now, and I ended up enjoying it. It was just it's a fun, silly ass Office comedy style, well-written thing with a great cast, and it's definitely worth I would put that in your dinner time slot instead of Dave.
Dave, go for after dinner.
Dave's an after dinner, and you know what? Even then, it's like if you're trying to get laid with your girlfriend or boyfriend after dinner, maybe don't watch Dave.
That's all. Yeah, it's not a Netflix and chill show. It's a Hulu and think and laugh show.
It's a smoke weed and giggle together show. It's not a we're gonna make love after this because we're horny show. That's not how you're gonna feel about it.
What's your make love and get horny show though? Just for all the people out there that need to set the tone.
Yeah, sure. That would be Succession. Nothing turns me on like white people telling each other to fuck off.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah,
that's what gets me.
Or on the floor, baby. We're gonna be a couple boards on the floor in about 10 minutes here. Know what I'm saying?
What the fuck? Okay, you want to do a top 5? That's my review.
Yeah. Let's go top 5
today. As you know, we like to pick an actor or an actress and discuss their top 5 films in their catalog. We like to go with veterans. As a result, wouldn't make much sense to go with the 26-year-old. Today, we're doing Angelina Jolie, one of the more famous, accomplished, well-known female actresses in all of the history of Hollywood. Certainly in our lifetimes. She's done everything from like, what was it, Mr. and Mrs. Brooks?
Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Put some respect on that name.
I will not. That's one that for whatever reason, when I watched it in high school, I hated it. I thought it was one of the worst movies I've ever seen, and I've never been able to go back as a result.
Okay.
But she's done shit like that. She's done shit like Changeling, which is an unbelievably impactful. Like she went from a respected young hot actress to like only the sex symbol version of that to like then the fully blown director power Hollywood female badass that she is now.
Yeah.
And to see her sort of transformation through all these different stages in her life and in her films has been crazy. So she's a fun one to do her top 10. Barrett, any comments on Angelina Jolie's career before we start?
I do have some comments. Angelina Jolie certainly sticks out in my mind as one of the ultimate pop culture icons of my adolescence and kind of teenage years.
Yeah.
There can be no forgetting the makeout with her brother, which I believed happened at the Oscars.
On the red carpet.
I
believe in front of their father.
Who is John Voight, noted Fox News contributor. And I don't know if it was I don't think it was the same year, but I also vividly remember at one award show, I think it was the Oscars again, where she showed up with then husband Billy Bob Thornton, and they acknowledged just having sex in the limousine on the way to the award show, and they were wearing vials of blood around each other's necks.
She wears a Billy Bob Thornton blood vial on her necklace.
On her neck. So
love that.
I mean, by the way, I'm sure that the sex that was going on was just absolutely hot as hell.
Oh, it had to.
When you're wearing vials of blood of each other's blood around your neck, that's just really that's a level that not many people achieve, I think, on as a sexual pinnacle.
That's the sexual dream, to be
So you
wearing
have
each
to
other's blood around
you
your
have to
neck.
respect that. I think. My other so that's look, man, and she's the hot blonde in Gone in 60 Seconds, and then Lara Croft, and then the adulteress, the sultry adulteress who stole Brad away from Jen Aniston. Like, like
Yep.
she just has this aura about her, which is she was growing up like always kind of the bad girl, right?
The sexy bad girl, yeah.
Sexy bad girl. I do. Obviously, that's what it felt like at the time. So I apologize for if that's my early to mid 2000s misogyny rearing its ugly head. But
no, she had a vial of blood around her neck and was making out with her brother on the red carpet.
I mean, that's what I remember most fondly. So here's the other note that I have about Angelina Jolie, and this might tie in to how I grew up with her as a presence in my life. I've actually never seen any of her good movies, any like her truly touted, critically acclaimed movies. I've never seen Gia. I've never seen Girl Interrupted. I've never seen Changeling, which you mentioned.
Damn. Okay.
I've never seen Playing by Heart. I didn't see The Good Shepherd.
I haven't seen that one. I haven't seen Playing by Heart or The Good Shepherd.
I never saw. Now, it wasn't highly reviewed, but it was another drama. I believe one she did with Brad Pitt. Her husband at the time was By the Sea in 2015. But what I will say, to her credit, is that going back through her filmography and kind of putting together my favorite movies of Angelina Jolie, I think that she is the all-time best action movie actress, female actor, ever.
I can't. In terms of A-list,
if you want a badass female action star, it does not get better than Angelina Jolie.
Yep, a lot of her biggest movies were action movies where she's doing crazy badass. Like once she showed that she could do that with Lara Croft, there was a lot more of that in the pipeline, I think.
Yeah. So that's that's how she stands out to me. So I know she's done quite a bit more than that, but for me, my favorites are all of her best action movies.
Let me just jump into my five, because part of what, three of the movies you named that you haven't seen are going to be in my five.
Okay.
But first, my fifth and my number 5 movie on my list is one that I only recently watched, considering how long it's been out, was The Bone Collector. It came out in 1999. It's her and Denzel Washington.
That's a great movie. Yep.
And somehow this is one that like I was aware of for years and years and years, but it kind of eluded me. I just never got to it. I finally did. Really enjoyed it. I'm a big fan of like these serial killer thriller cop style. I love that shit. I love true crime. I love any of the, like, this one feels like it had the same sort of vibes as like Seven, almost like these 90s gritty, whatever. This is my number 5. And again, it's one that I didn't see until more recently. Whereas the rest of my list it's been a while since I've seen an Angelina Jolie movie, dude.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, recently she's really done Maleficent and not much else.
Focused basically on that series and then doing her whatever, philanthropic and whatever other stuff she does.
Obviously, she's got, a large brood. So she's
lots of kids,
a lot of time with her kids. She's been behind the lens, of course.
Yep.
But yeah, really, I mean, she's done voice stuff with the Kung Fu Panda films. But yeah, not I mean, over the last 5 years, really not a ton.
And I will say, I'm just gonna go ahead and Kung Fu Panda can be my 4, because Kung Fu Panda is one of the top 5 greatest movies of all time.
That's right. You
are.
Time. We can't talk about Angelina Jolie and not talk about one of the top 5 greatest movies of all time.
She's in
your humble opinion.
Yes, I was once filmed on a Vine exclaiming that Kung Fu Panda, I was quite intoxicated, was one of the greatest movies ever made. And literally, I said top 5 of all time. We'll see if we can dig that up for you and put it out there. But I just want to say that I don't stand by that drunken opinion in 2020. But I will put Kung Fu Panda in my number 4 Angelina Jolie slot, which means you now have to give us your 5 and 4.
Okay, my 5 and my 4, huh? There is one more thing that I wanted to mention here before we jump in.
Indeed.
I want to talk about a movie that did not make my top 5, but it's a classic Barrett movie.
Okay.
A Barrett movie requires big name actors and actresses, some type of sexy setting, whether it's being on boats in Italy or racing cars on the streets of LA. It requires a very silly plot, some good action sequences, and that's about it. It's all around. It's got the visual sensation to it, but very little meat to really chew on,
No consequences.
Nope.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very little thought given to the movie afterwards. And so one that she stars in that is right up that alley for me is The Tourist, co-starring
Oh, I forgot about this one.
Yeah. But that's a fantastic, just like cooking dinner, have it on in the background movie. Two huge names with Depp and Angelina Jolie. Just
good-looking people.
Good-looking people. Tour de force on screen. Who really cares what anybody's saying?
Yeah.
Okay. So my 5, I'm gonna say is Gone in 60 Seconds, which I briefly mentioned before. But that kind of, for me, I think that is what I would say put Angelina Jolie on my radar. And this is, look, I'm sorry to have to do this to our listeners here, but I'm going to talk about a couple of things that I just find really attractive. One is like very fake blonde hair.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not like a top thing for me, but people that aren't supposed to be blonde, then they go blonde. That is just somehow like, that's like, it has this weird allure to it.
Sure.
And in no instance more so than Angelina Jolie in Gone in 60 Seconds. She is a leather-wearing, car-stealing badass. And that's just like it belongs on my list because I've already talked about when we did Nick Cage how informative that movie was to my teen years, and just me becoming a person. And so it's on my top 5 for Angelina as well.
Love that.
Number 4, I'm going to go with I'm going to go Tomb Raider here.
Wow.
Yeah. Again,
and this is because of a lack of options, frankly, on your part.
This is because my entire my collection of favorite Angelina Jolie movies is all action movies.
Yeah. But Tomb Raider, I don't even remember a single scene from the movie.
Well, here's one thing that you need to know about Tomb Raider. It stars my mans that I rides for, Ian Glenn, a.k.a. Jorah Mormont, as a villain. So it's got that going for it.
That's huge.
It also stars a, as of yet, not that famous Gerard Butler.
You are correct, sir. Wow.
Yeah. And so it is a fun action flick.
More star power than you realize.
More star power than you realize. The story of it all is hokey, but honestly pretty fun.
Sure.
I agree. It's got like an Indiana Jones type feel to it. I think it was heavily inspired by all that with the ruins and the temples and the mythology, that type of thing.
Yeah.
And Angelina Jolie was, she was born to play Lara Croft. Like it just is what it is. And
yeah, it's like they saw into the future and that she existed and they built that video game character to look like her.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's another great like B movie that just got a lot of star power and a lot of action.
Fair enough. My number 3 is Salt, where she plays the accused Russian spy. And this is, I just flat out would say this is her best action movie, I think.
So Salt is my number 2.
Okay.
And it is a really, really solid, like she's female born. and it's a badass movie.
Yep. It didn't get the shine that it probably deserved based on how good it was. When I finally watched it, I was like, shit, dude, this was like, because like you said, Angelina Jolie is very fun to see as a female badass action role.
Yes.
I believe that Salt was her best version of that in terms of the movie as a whole. Was just very intense. It was fun as fuck to watch. She's kicking ass. There's levels to it, layers to it. You don't really know what's what.
A movie that I feel like is kind of Salt is a predecessor to a more recent movie that I feel like got a lot more credit, but it kind of owes its whole thing to Salt, and that's Atomic Blonde.
J-Law's movie?
Which one?
What'd you say? Oh, Atomic Blonde.
Atomic Blonde with Charlize Theron.
Okay, yeah.
Very, very similar. Where I think like, I actually haven't seen Atomic Blonde. I just know that it was well received, 78% on Rotten Tomatoes, and I believe that Charlize Theron is kind of like, she plays a kind of, is she good or is she bad action star? You know, she's a badass. There's a ton of action sequences, fight scenes, all that. I just feel like it's kind of, it's got that kinship with Salt, which predates it by many years.
The other one that makes me think of is Red Sparrow, the J-Law one.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Same sort of vibe, real sexy, but like, again, Red Sparrow, I don't know, it just didn't really have. Well, speaking of, she's got all the blonde wigs and shit going in that movie.
Absolutely, yeah.
So and an Atomic Blonde.
Salt is your number 3. It's my number 2. My number 3 is one that was near the bottom of your list. It's Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Oh my God, that's insanity. Hey, look, I need to go back and watch this one again to see what it was, Barrett, because I'll tell you, I watched it with a girl in high school, and there's no reason this movie should have been unenjoyable to me, and I found it to be terrible. And I was like 17. Like, who the fuck was I to think a Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie movie that created one of the spiciest affairs of our lifetime was terrible?
That is surprising. And the chemistry between the two of them on screen is so palpable, is so hot.
Oh yeah,
it's what makes the movie good.
Okay,
like the plot is very, very silly. It is a B action movie. You know what I mean? Like, it's well done. It's got great visuals, but what makes this movie hum is the fact that you know what happened after they filmed this movie, and it just reads so true on screen.
Yeah,
and
which makes it a lot of fun.
That's that.
Yeah, yeah, and that's fair. I need to go back and give it another list or view, like I said. I'll jump to my 2, and this is my oldest one from her on my list, I believe, and it's Gia. If you never watched this, it came out in 1998, and it's one of the movies that first like put her on the actor spotlight.
Yes, and it on at least via Rotten Tomatoes in 1998. Obviously, it wasn't. Rotten Tomatoes wasn't RT then, but it's 92% rated, so it's actually her highest. It's her highest rated film.
Okay. It's also an HBO film. So
Okay.
It's on HBO Go and Max. If you want to go watch it, it's one of those ones that, you know, when HBO has when it's HBO Pictures, it's available forever on their shit. So that's where I watched it a couple years back. I watched Gia, and it is a story about, she plays Gia Marie, I can't remember how to pronounce the last name, but she's a model in New York City. And she becomes like the hottest model in the world, basically, and derails on drugs and like, you know, the high of that fame and sex and celebrity. And it you know, she becomes a heroin addict. But it's very good, very well done, very well acted. For how old it is, it's aged incredibly well. And it really shows you sort of what America's and Hollywood's initial obsession with her was. Also, Mila Kunis plays her like childhood version of her in this movie.
Oh, interesting.
At age 11.
Yeah, I just did a quick search on the movie, and Gia Karanji is considered by some to kind of be the first supermodel ever.
So that's her playing an actual real life.
Yes, that's
person,
a
Karanji. Yeah.
That is a let me get this right here. I know I've been called out on this one before. That is a biopic, I believe.
A biopic? It's not biopic?
I've always called it a biopic, I think.
I think that's what I've been saying my whole life, and that's wrong.
It's apparently biopic.
Biopic.
That's just that's too easy. Like, I don't know. I've always felt like it was biopic.
I still buy biopic, Barrett. I think everyone else is wrong, and we're right.
that's in 2020, we're allowed to have our truths. If we
Yes.
just say it onto a recording, into a camera, it automatically becomes true. That is what I've learned.
That's how the internet works. That's how the world works. Yes.
Yes.
Thank you for reminding me that Gia is the story of an actual real life model. That would have been a real shame for me to gloss over. And yes, it is super cool to see the 80s, I guess, version of fashion houses and Armani and Christian Dior and Versace and Yves Saint Laurent and all these conversations around all these different brands that we now know to be so prevalent, sort of in that up and coming hot 80s fashion zone.
Oh yeah.
And all the things surrounding the 1980s and drug use and sort of some of the same shit that like almost American Psycho addresses ish. Gia's awesome. If you never watched it and it's one that slipped past you, I was in the same boat until a few years back. And it's my second favorite Angelina Jolie movie ever. Highly, highly recommended. I'd give it like a 9 out of 10.
Yeah. Wow. Jeez.
Yeah.
Gia, Lyra,
Billy Costa. Just a reminder, I never even watched that show. I just, after those first couple when I bounced, and I will never forget Billy Costa's name.
Billy Costa.
Yeah. So what do you got as your number one?
My number one is Changeling.
Okay.
It's the most impactful work of hers for me, and it's one of the most fucked up movies I've ever seen, frankly, in terms of the story and what this woman endures. And frankly, it's also prevalent because it shows you that police in this country have been a problem, not just for Black people, and for a very, very, very long time. And that it's like, it really, honestly, if you watched it right now and you've never seen it, it would just show you a whole nother angle of where things have gone awry in this arena. And she's, I believe, did she direct it as well? Let me pull up I want to double check, but I believe she did.
I think that's right. Yeah.
And it was like her first, directed by Clint Eastwood. I apologize.
Oh, okay.
So it was the combination of those two that ended up making this so incredible in 2008. She crushes her role. He directed, produced, and scored it. And then it was written by J. Michael Straczynski. And it explores child endangerment, female disempowerment, political corruption, the mistreatment of mental health patients. It gets into all these different arenas that have become more important than ever in America, or more top of mind than ever in our lifetime. And it's also just an incredibly powerful and disturbing story. This was not a hard decision for me, as Changeling being my number one. And I gave Gia a 9. So that should tell you how much I enjoyed this one.
Yeah.
And by enjoyed, I mean respected and appreciated it and its message. It is not an enjoyable film in the sense that you sit down and enjoy yourself. It kicks your ass the entire time.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's high praise. That's a good review there of Changeling. That sounds like
thank you.
That we all need to take a look at. I'm going to go in the complete opposite direction. My number one is one of my favorite action movies of all time, and it's Wanted. I'm actually I'm not surprised it's on your top 5, but this is there are two strains of Barrett movies.
Sure.
Some, like The Tourist, are not very good movies. But then there's the upper echelon of Barrett movies, such as some of a few of the Fast and Furious films, and such as Wanted, that are actually really like well thought out, well written, well acted, well executed, and visually stunning movies. And for me, Wanted falls into that upper echelon category of these movies. Here again is something that this movie specifically did for me. I am now attracted to like females with tattoos because of Angelina Jolie in Wanted.
Yes, the scene where she drops the towel and is either going to a bath or some type of situation.
She's getting in like a cool bath at the like a some type of weird, mythical bath thing.
Yeah, but then she's got the tats like under her arms,
There's
on
like
her
a big back tattoo, and like they just keep all of her actual tattoos as well, and it's just very My goodness,
It's sexy.
It's sultry. It's sexy.
Yeah.
On top of that, she just plays another ultimate badass in this movie. This movie also has great performances from James McAvoy and Morgan Freeman.
Yes.
Yep.
This is an underrated one, Barrett.
It's got it's got a little cameo from Chris Pratt, even pre Parks and Rec fame.
Did it?
Yeah.
I don't even remember that.
It's also, here's what's cool about it. This movie was based on a comic book series, just not one from Marvel or DC. So that's kind of how
a lesser known one.
But that's why, if you watch this movie and you're kind of curious about the origin of the story, like how they came up with the fraternity and like the bending bullets and like all that type of stuff, that's because it's all from a comic book.
Okay.
Comic book series. So it kind of has that. We talk all the time about like whether you're pulling stuff from an already existing IP. That's one way to get good story, or you just have to be a brilliant storyteller. Yes. This one was already existing intellectual property that they were able to adapt for the screen. Shocking that this movie never got a sequel.
It is a little shocking, especially considering that it did incredibly well worldwide in theaters. The budget was an estimated $75 million, and cumulatively worldwide, it did $342,463,000. So it's not like they didn't crush it.
Yeah, I mean that's a wild success.
Yes,
but I would have now a sequel might not feature Angelina Jolie because of the ending of the movie, but It definitely would have James McAvoy. Who's another, I love watching him on screen, and this is one of my favorite roles of his as well. I need to see him come out and be like Mr. Assassin Man again. So
I'm going to give you some credit here.
It's just an all-around, it's a very, very fun film with a little bit more substance than something like Mr. and Mrs. Smith or The Tourist or, some of these other movies that are kind of action-y schlock. This one to me has a little bit more going on.
The upper echelon Barrett tier of Barrett movies. Yeah, no, and I think that's fair, and I want to. That's where the credit is due. I had almost forgotten that I even watched this, and I remember it was one of those movies when I watched it that I was like, "Damn, this is pretty tight. This is like a lot better than I thought it would be. This is fucking tight." Because I saw the trailer and I was like, "Oh, come on, man, this looks silly as hell. Like, what the fuck?" But then it is because it has that comic book backing to it that when you watch it, you don't feel like they're just bullshitting some Hollywood fuckery.
Yeah, right.
Like it has something of substance behind it, and it's legit. It's just, it's a Barrett movie, but it's definitely in that upper tier of Barrett movies. Great movie, solid one.
Yeah, well, if there's one thing that we've learned here, it's that you have some homework to do on Angelina Jolie's action movies, and I have some homework to do on Angelina Jolie's critically acclaimed movies.
And that's why we host this show together. You complete me, Barrett.
Indeed.
And now it's time for your segment, Tidbits and Such with Barrett.
Yes, it's finally time for Tidbits, the moment that you've all been waiting for. First, I wanted to flash back to Dave real quick, and I wanted to ask you if you realize who is playing Els.
No.
That is Taco from the Odd Future gang.
I knew this fucker looked familiar.
So
I knew this dude from somewhere. That's where I know him from.
Flashback 5, 6, 7 years ago, and you look up all the pictures of Tyler and Earl Sweatshirt and all
there's Taco
gang. This is Taco, aka Travis Bennett. And he used to have like much long. He wore his hair like in a pretty in an afro a lot. But he was right there along with all these guys as Odd Future blew up and did the Camp Flognall and all that stuff. It's just kind of shocking to see him all grown up now and featured in this role on Dave with Lil Dicky. He's great on the show. It's crazy because one of the things I remember, like as Odd Future kind of grew up, is that I remember Taco was good friends with Kendall Jenner. There'd be like paparazzi photos of Kendall
Walk in with
be like,
Taco.
and,
Be
oh,
like
and
this.
also there's this Odd Future guy who's like not really that big of a celebrity, but it's this guy named Taco from Odd Future, and he'd be like, he was running with Kendall and Gigi and that crew.
You know, one of the things I noticed when I watched Dave is it feels like there was an acknowledgement among all these dudes. Like, look, none of us really know what the fuck we're doing here. We're in this together, sort of thing. Because it's like there's no ego in this show. I don't think a lot of these guys are very experienced, and
Yeah,
they did
such
a good job of like maintaining that, like, where, as an example, Taco, or I guess Travis Bennett's character Els, is fucking hilarious and is allowed to like shine in these different moments.
Mm-hmm.
I think as a result of that comfort level that all these people creating this show, it's very clear that everyone involved in Dave had a very clear vision and understood what they were doing and was on the same page. It was not haphazardly, again, thrown together or something like that. And man, that's crazy. I can't believe that one didn't register for me though, because now that I'm rethinking it, obviously I see his face flashing in all these Odd Futures things, and I'm like, oh my God, that's why I recognize him. But damn it, I should have just looked it up.
By the way, it's also just, it's wild that like that Odd Future coming up was basically a decade ago.
Yep.
Like it feels like that was recent, but man, I mean, Tyler specifically has obviously come such a long way from some of that original stuff to Igor.
Dude, I wouldn't even, that's like, it feels insulting to put it that way though. Cause there was shit on that original album, his first album or whatever, Goblin, I believe it was called, like Yonkers. That's an all-time rap song to me.
Yeah. No, I mean, there's
music video.
The video for Yonkers was,
it might have birthed Billie Eilish out of its ass. Yeah. I'm serious. Like
exactly. But that was, Goblin was 2011, man. Isn't that crazy?
Well, it's also, you know what it is, dude? It's because we felt a little bit older already. Like when Tyler and Odd Future came out, I was like, okay, this is the next wave. These kids are younger than me. I don't quite get it, but I'm down with this vibe, but it's also insane. And I'm like, you know what I mean? It wasn't us, it was below us. And that's what makes it feel even older.
Yeah, like we were not the target, we were not the core audience of Odd Future when they were blowing up. Yeah, that's a good point.
And now you're watching Tyler accept speech, giving an acceptance speech that indirectly results in them literally renaming the category at the Grammys.
Right.
Because he's the dude who got on stage and was like, can y'all stop putting the word urban on everything I do? What the fuck is wrong with you? It's just a way to say the N-word without saying it.
Yeah.
And then inevitably this past few weeks that got changed finally.
Yes.
That's a random tidbit. What else?
Okay. So I did finally have a chance to start The Last of Us. I made it all the way through the intro into the 20 years later piece of the storyline.
That's huge.
So, and just a quick story here. I started playing this game. I'm going to go ahead and do minor spoilers here. So
it's a video game that came out a long ass time ago.
That's one thing that I didn't realize, that this video game came out in like 2014.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there playing, and like the first thing you're doing is you're controlling this little girl character, and she's walking around her home and picking up stuff. And I see some Austin, Texas things come up. She picks up the newspaper, and it's the Austin Statesman or whatever, and it's talking about Austin. And I was like, so my first reaction to that was, damn, it's been so long since I played video games. They now have stuff that like reads your IP address where you're playing from and like inserts your city onto the newspaper that you pick up.
You dumbass.
And then like 5 minutes later, you're in a car driving away from the house, and it's got like signs that say Austin in one way, San Marcos in the other. And I'm like, okay, wait a second. It can't possibly be this intelligent where it's like pulling up the maps and the street signs that would be where you're playing. So once I got through the intro, I looked it up, and the story of The Last of Us is based in Austin, Texas. That's where it starts. That's where it all starts. So that's kind of.
I completely forgot to mention this when we discussed the
that's
HBO.
Really crazy.
The HBO pickup, dude, because I imagine they will likely film it here.
It's at this point, it's always tough to say. There have been So Andy Greenwald, one of the co-hosts of The Watch, who just had his show Briar Patch run for its first season on USA. That show is set in Texas, and they filmed in Albuquerque, New Mexico, because of all the tax breaks,
taxes and different shit.
And so while some stuff is still filmed in Texas, Texas is not nearly as friendly to the film and entertainment industry as they once were with all that type of stuff.
Right.
So there's a lot of incentive to go shoot in other places. Now, HBO has the cash to shoot wherever the hell they want. The Leftovers famously is a show that did film in Texas. Like it was set in Texas, it filmed in Texas. So if they want to stay true to the story, then they can absolutely shoot here. Fear the Walking Dead is a show that still shoots in and around the Austin area. That's another big budget production. So as long as they're not like trying to scrape by on a smaller budget, people still shoot in and around Austin and in Texas.
Okay, cool.
So there's a good shot that they do at least film some stuff here, unless they just change the story to fit another location.
Yeah, and that's another thing. It's what's crazy. I totally forgot, man. But when you start playing that game and you realize you're set in Austin, it's a whole nother level of like, oh fuck.
Yeah,
it's a scary ass game.
Yeah. I haven't gotten to anything super scary yet, but yeah, definitely a zombie game. Okay, in more Hollywood pandemic-related news.
Oh, good.
The Oscars have been pushed until April of next year now. And that's really a direct result of all of these films getting pushed back.
That will be an interesting thing to keep an eye on, how the longer-term award show season is affected by this COVID fallout.
Yeah. Again, pushback. Tenet, which we were looking forward to in the middle of July, is kind of maybe the movie that would bring people back to the theaters, has been pushed by 2 weeks. And I have heard murmurs that is like a kind of a test to see what the reaction is around that particular film getting pushed, and that might just be a precursor to it getting pushed to the fall or the winter, or even possibly getting pushed all the way to next summer. Because here's a bit of a bit of factoid information. Christopher Nolan has a special affinity for releasing films on that particular week in July. And I believe if you go look at his filmography, pretty much every movie that he's ever released, from Dunkirk to Inception to Dark Knight trilogy to Interstellar, I think they were all released on like that specific July week. So he's very much got like that, a foothold on that time frame, and he likes releasing his films there.
So if he misses it, there's a reason to believe he could wait till next year.
Yeah. Yep.
You also have to look at it like this: for the studio, for Nolan, really for everyone involved, it is an investment, right? It's a project. It's something that you don't want to put all that work into and then put it out at a time that you think it might not get the reception or attention it deserves. And most importantly, unfortunately, in the case of the studio, they want to make sure they get their money back.
Yep.
If they put this movie out and it's still nobody's ready to go to theaters yet, that's a problem. So I could very easily see them holding something like Tenet, where it's like, listen, it's got the hype, but they definitely pulled the marketing budget at about the time they needed to. People that aren't super focused on movies are not remembering that this is a thing that might happen. And I don't think they would lose that much in terms of hype if we did have to wait till next summer, because frankly right now hype in Hollywood as a movie thing doesn't exist.
Yeah, and they've done a marketing campaign here for Tenet in some way, shape, or form, which is obviously a big piece of the expense. That costs a lot of money.
They did do commercials, yeah, but it was limited.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
But right, exactly. But it doesn't feel like they went all the way with that. It does feel like they were able to pull back a little bit with anticipation. And so, yeah, this movie, Tenet, is one that is going to, or should have, pre-pandemic, been an absolute box office smash. So I don't really know what they're losing by pushing another year. I mean, you do lose some of the, it's weird. It's never really happened before where a movie that's this hyped up and this anticipated gets pushed a whole year. But if you really just want to have this be a massive, massive like rollout and success and be a big summer box office smash, then it might make sense. I mean,
You gotta wait and see the dust settles, yeah.
I'm gonna be hyped whenever this movie comes out. So if it's this summer, or if it's later this fall, or if it's all the way to next summer, I'm gonna be stoked no matter what. Just a quick Clam Fam correction: I'm looking up the release dates of these movies. Interstellar was actually released in October, but Dark Knight and Inception both had those July releases. And I know that some of his other films had that July release as well.
Yeah, and that, you know, summertime.
Dunkirk did. So yeah,
that makes sense. It's like it's historically great time to drop a film, but right now, not so fucking much.
Yes. Okay, and my final tidbit here, it's Outer Banks related. So I'm just gonna, since I'm almost finished with Outer Banks, I've just got one more episode. I'll just give you a little brief synopsis of what we've got going here on these later episodes.
And then next week we'll close out Outer Banks as a season.
Yeah, It's gone full blown soap opera though, and now every episode is ending with a big cliffhanger.
Oh.
Usually with a deadly weapon pointed at somebody. The guy that I mentioned, whose dad had to go beat up a drug dealer for him, has gone full on sociopath, and is now, spoiler alert, he's now murdering sheriffs and pointing guns at people.
Did you say sheriffs?
Sheriffs, yeah. One sheriff, to be clear.
Okay.
He's lighting buildings on fire. He is off the rails, Ross, and he needs to be stopped. That guy's name is Rafe, by the way. Rafe or Raif, I'm not sure, but
there's a Wraith in a video game that I like.
Well, so there's a Rolls Royce Wraith, and it's
also I
wanted to name him after a Rolls Royce, but they were like, well, that's a little too over the top, so let's pull it back one and call him Rafe, Rafe, Rafe.
Got to get the stars in the ceiling, Barrett.
Yeah, real wild stuff happening there.
That sounds fun.
We're looking for the treasure. One guy, one of the Pogues, he just completely blew off his big scholarship interview to go help with the treasure. Seems like a real boneheaded move, if you ask me. But
classic Pogue.
Right? Exactly. And I mean, when there's just nothing like the allure of treasure, Ross, of gold bars. Nothing. If there's one thing that's going to pull you away from your responsibilities as a person, it's the
gold.
It's the draw of buried treasure.
I love gold.
Smoking a pancake. Okay, on to the tidbit news though. John B. on the Pogues. Yes. Sarah Cameron, originally on the Kooks. She became a free agent and signed with the Pogues.
Dating in real life.
They're dating in real life, yes.
I saw a hot photo of them.
Yeah.
Because they just came out and announced this basically, right, on social media?
They did. He posted on Instagram. He said the cat's out of the bag. And it just got me thinking, we talked about Angelina and Brad already.
We did.
Look, if you're Chase Stokes and you get cast in this show, that has to be one of the perks of being a young actor and getting put on a show or a movie. I'm sure that Miles Teller and Zac Efron and those guys, like I could do the research. They've dated co-stars, and I feel like it's extremely likely. Robert Pattinson and Kristen Stewart from Twilight. Like if you're a young actor in your 20s like this, like this is almost it's almost a given.
Yeah, because if you think about it,
it's Nicholas Hoult on X-Men sets. Like this just I mean, they sign up your co-star and it's just like, hey, we're putting you two together on this show because you're both hot and young and you have great chemistry
and you're the same age
on
usually.
The screen tests, and you're very close to the same age. Like chances are, something's going to happen off screen.
Look, it's the same reason there's so much sex on college campuses. You put a ton of people who are the same age and a relatively similar demographic in the same place with a shit ton of alcohol, they're eventually going to have sex. If you put two people in a position, they're the same age, they're both hot, young, neither is committed. Sometimes maybe they are, who cares? And you stick them and they have to pretend to act that they want to fuck each other all the time.
Yeah.
You're probably going to end up wanting to.
Yep.
That makes sense.
Absolutely.
From a biological standpoint.
So
yeah.
good for those two lovebirds.
Huge for them.
I wish them the best, but we've got a real life Pogue and Kook love story happening.
Amazing stuff, Barrett. One magical storyline coming out of this shitstorm that is 2020.
Yeah. Finally, some good news. Am I right?
Any other tidbits and such?
That will wrap it up for this week's edition of Tidbits and such.
I would argue your best yet.
Thank you.
I wanted to say, before we go here, I have watched episode 1 of season 1 of Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Yes.
And it took me...
You're 22 minutes in.
Yes. It took me a very long time to take this step. And I was very hesitant, mostly because of the Nickelodeon tag. I will not lie to you. Something about the concept of a Nickelodeon, and I've been told now that this is not anime, technically, maybe. I don't fucking know what classifies as anime anymore.
Okay.
That on Nickelodeon, like, it just didn't ring true to me. All these people are like, it has so much depth. The storytelling, it's one of the best stories I've ever had.
Yeah, man, we grew up with Kenan and Kel and all that. Like that, you're telling me that this is on the same network as that. It's a similar way as to, like, you see a trailer for the first time and it looks awesome, and then it comes up as PG-13, and that's like you kind of feel disappointment because you know that it's not going to go all the way with with what it could have been had there been no parameters put on this thing, right?
And now, obviously,
that's how it feels to say for these people that are telling us, like, yeah, it's a Nickelodeon show that goes deep. It doesn't ring totally true.
Right. So what I did is
wrong, by the way. It's just that's the feeling that it elicits.
It's a branding issue,
right?
Is what it is. And now I'll tell you first of all, what finally got me in is I went and read some about the show and why it is so popular and such this like cult classic like piece of Americana now that I didn't realize was there. And it's because it dives into things like genocide and free thinking and totalitarianism, it gets into shit that you are not supposed to get into on Nickelodeon.
Yeah.
And
through one episode it does.
No.
Oh, okay.
But I'm saying I can definitely see, having seen one episode. I went and read all that about it, and then I watched the first episode.
Okay.
The first episode has absolutely none of that depth. It just introduces you to the main characters and sort of sets you up in this world where you've got firebenders and airbenders or Fire Nation and waterbenders and airbenders, and everybody's looking for this last airbender, and then some child is frozen in a fucking ice ball. Shit is insane. But I'm in for this is the end of the segment. I'm in to watch Avatar: The Last Airbender. It has been made clear to me that it has absolutely nothing to do with either Avatar or The Last Airbender.
Oh, now see, I think there's some confusion on that because I was pretty sure that this predates both films.
It does.
And then both M. Night Shyamalan and James Cameron went off and they took their piece that they brought to this Nickelodeon series way back in the day. They joined forces together to make the Nickelodeon show. James Cameron brought the Avatar. M. Night Shyamalan brought The Last Airbender. And they put these ideas together. And then they said, hey, screw you, man. I'm taking my idea and I'm making a movie out of it. And that's what happened.
Yeah. No, it turns out not the case.
Okay.
And that was another deterrent to me getting in here and starting to watch it. I kept seeing it, on Netflix, and I'd go, what the fuck is this? Like a half-assed version of a James Cameron movie mixed with what the joke you just made, basically. Like, what the fuck there's no appeal to this. I don't know what the fuck I'm looking at here. Nah, it's got nothing to do with any of that. And I'm interested in it because I've never committed to watching a series like this, and because I've never watched a cartoon that delves into the things that this allegedly does delve into inevitably. And look, every single time enough of the members of the Clam Fam have screamed something at me, they've been right. And enough of them have screamed, you have to watch Avatar: The Last Airbender at me to make me go, okay. So I'm in. I trust y'all. Episode 1 was fun. It didn't do anything crazy yet, obviously. It's 20 minutes or whatever, like Barrett said. But I'm here. I'm actually doing it. Avatar: The Last Airbender is a thing that's happening for me. I'm doing this. The rest of this year is just going to be 20 minutes of me loving life in small intervals with Dave and fucking The Last Airbender and just laughing at Space Force and dumb shit.
Yeah, it's really only going to be you've only got 11 more days of that. Unfortunately, don't want to burst your bubble, but
damn it,
Dark comes back in about 11 days.
So 11 more days of just relatively stress-free living,
of burying your head in these 20-minute lighthearted shows, and then we're going to try to explain for the 4th time what the bootstrap paradox is.
I won't try again. I still don't think I've actually tried. I think you've tried.
I've tried
each season.
I'm gonna read up on it. Don't you guys worry.
I just like to not. Dude, that doesn't help. That doesn't help. I get more confused when I look into Dark. When I start researching the shit they're talking about, I get even more confused. I would rather just take it in my base level dumb brain and let myself go, scientists, beep boop bop, it's complicated, and that's it.
Well, it's gonna be a wild ride, and I know that is one that people are demanding that we cover. So we will be covering
Obviously.
That. Stay tuned to this. Ross and I have some that one, because we have enough time to anticipate it, because we know it's coming out this time. We're gonna figure out how we're gonna break that down so that you guys can, so that we can watch it
properly
in a reasonable amount of time. And by that I mean like not in 3 days like some of you weirdos, but also not stretch it out over 3 months either.
Yes. But prepare now. Dark is coming soon, and we will be consuming it and discussing it in a not succinct, in a timely fashion.
In a timely fashion, yeah. We'll group episodes together for sure. I don't think we're going to go one episode at a time, but probably 2 or 3.
Correctamundo. Anything else that we need to tell people to be looking out for before we bounce?
Man, I don't think so. I think I'm going to finally pull trig on an on-demand movie that should have been in theaters. I think I'm going to go King of Staten Island. I think I'm going to watch this movie here.
It's doing all of the things I need a movie to do to get me to pay money to watch it in my home, Barrett.
Yeah, I've not done one of these $20 rentals yet, but this might be the one.
Remember, Barrett, if you watch something that's $20 for the pod, it's a tax write-off.
I know that is
Extra boy.
True. That's true.
We have a whole thing set up now for this.
That is accurate.
It's free 99 the way I see it.
You don't even know what a write-off is.
The funny thing is, I don't. I just know it's a thing. And that will do it for today's episode of OCC. Huge thanks to our sponsor for today, Felix Gray. Again, go to felixgrayglasses.com and use the promo code that, what is it? OCC. Yes.
No promo code on Felix Gray. It's just
felixgrayglasses.com/OCC. No promo code.
Yes.
/OCC. Thank you, Barry.
This is an awareness campaign, people, and you should be aware that Felix Grays are great.
And exactly. That's the gist of it. Follow us on social media for updates on when new episodes drop and on what we're watching. Again, thank you all for bearing with us during what has been a very strange and weird few months on this show, in particular, like in the world, but also on this show. I've got a full-time employee coming in next month to help me with stuff like managing our Instagram and our Twitter, so that it's not just Barrett and I are able to do the podcast, obviously, but we're not able to give the show the attention it deserves on the social media and marketing side. That will be changing soon. Very excited to bring y'all more on these social platforms. So follow us on Instagram at Oysters, Clams, Cockles, on Twitter at Clams and Cockles, and on Facebook.com/Oysters, Clams, Cockles. I'm Ross Bolen, and you can follow me at WRBolen, at WRBOLEN on Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat, and listen to the Ross Bolen podcast wherever you listen to OCC. Mr. Dudley, where can we follow you and hear your voice?
Yes, follow me at Barrett Dudley, Instagram and Twitter. And you can check me out on the Club Cool podcast. Just search for Club Cool wherever you're listening to OCC. We like to say that we meet at the intersection of style and pop culture. So if that sounds up your alley, give us a listen.
Until our next helping, goodbye, friends.